welcome back to episode 5 of Building This Park. Already, we're moving fast. Now, in this episode, we will build 2 buildings in the entrance area. I wanted to have more in this episode, but it really didn't fit, and I want to give this building the time it needs. Now, the first building is kind of an information booth, some stores, and the toilet is in it. And the second one is a full-fledged souvenir shop, which is enterable, which is really something new in Planet Coaster 2. So we will build a custom souvenir shop, and it turned out pretty well, I would say. So this first one is inspired by the building you can see on screen, and if you look closely, you can see that it's in real life, right next to the tower we've built as the entrance area. So this is also in the city of Zug in Switzerland. And yeah, I thought it's a cool looking building. When I was browsing through photos of that tower, I saw that. I was like, yeah, I gotta build that. And then I also integrated the roller coaster into the whole thing, how it will go through the entrance area. So I changed it a bit. There will be a POV at the end again, so you can see how it's changed. Not that dramatically, it's mainly this curve that's differently now than it was previously. And I also changed the curve that it goes down, because it looked weird if it's just on one height the entire time. So I wanted it to dip down to give a bit more of a cool look when you're waiting or entering the park, really. You can see the roller coaster come out of the building, go down like floor height, and then go up again. And it makes it look a bit more organic. I'm sure it's better to ride than just an ordinary helix, because we already have the ordinary helix. And yeah, I was testing it a lot to see if it would fit through the hole I built in the wall. And building holes into buildings really is a thing that will continue, because we will have a lot of buildings that need to have holes in them so the coaster can pass through. Now, you could say that ruins the building. I think not, because really it's not a functional building anyway. And now we have a bit of interaction in the entrance area, which I don't think is that bad. I think it's cool. Like, I don't know any real life park that really has a coaster going through the entrance area, but if I would see one, I would be like, oh, that's cool. I would like it. So yeah, then I started with constructing the roof of the building, which has a special medieval kind of roof construction where you have those decorative pieces here that form like a pyramid. And so the whole thing it's not that hard to build, really. So if you're looking for a nice kind of building for a historic city center kind of entrance area, like this building style is pretty easy. You just have basically a wall, and then you take those small pieces and add arches to it, and then just a bunch of windows, and that's basically it. So what this does, it's not just another square building, because there will be enough of them in the park. So it's not just a square building, it has a bit of shape, and it's something interesting. It's like adding a layer, when you're, for instance, if you're creating a new outfit and you add a new layer to it, that's like this. So on the top I also had that arch, and at the end it looked like the hole for the coaster is supposed to be there. It makes it look great, because we have the symmetry in it. We have the hole right there. There will be other buildings in this park where the hole for the coaster is pretty in the middle, but I made it work somehow. It was definitely an interesting experience to work like that. I haven't really done that before. So then just a bit of decorations. What I always do is I see, I want to have this on the building if it's on the reference photo. And then I just browse through the building options, just open the scenery and just browse through it, from top to bottom. Maybe you can find something. And yeah, with windows, it's always, windows are something difficult in this game, I think, because there isn't a whole lot of options for windows, really. There's a lot of windows are either really plain, so you can't really use them without theming them, or too themed, Like this Greek window just fit in here because the building style was Greek, else it wouldn't have fit. And yeah, we don't have those fairy tale windows as we used to in Planet Coaster 1, which I always appreciated, or Western windows, you know, like a wooden window doesn't really exist. You always have to take a generic window and make, you know, put some wood around it, which isn't ideal really, but you know, I can deal with it. But in the future, I want to see some other windows. Like, it's a bit weird how little windows we have. And then I changed up the interior here. I almost forgot the word for interior. Wow. As if I spoke English for the first time. And yeah, we put some... I thought about putting some flags up here. And I don't even remember if I did it, but... No, I didn't. What we need to do on the parking space somewhere later on, till now I haven't done it, is just to put up some signs, you know, like A1, B2, B5, whatever. So when you park your car, you know where you are, and you can find it again. Although I parked there and forget to look out for it, and at the end it's just like finding the car from memory, you know, like, oh yeah, we stood next to that red Ford over there. Yeah, that should probably be our car, you know. But still, real life theme parks have them. And then somebody asked on a Discord server I'm on where to find those plant pots, and it's really easy. It's just in the plant pot section. And yeah, the plant pots, they're okay, but if you're building like a medieval building that's supposed to look like it's still in the medieval ages and not here where it's just historic, I would suggest you take the wooden planks you can find in the whole building section where you have supports in the support section, and use that. Now this building is almost done. We will have a instant turnover to the souvenir shop building in a moment. But yeah, overall I think this building turned out really well. Now we have a floor in here as well, and I added a wheel of cheese, but I think only later on. Yeah, now we're gonna go to the souvenir shop. Souvenir shop, here we go. Now for this one I was thinking about putting the basic shops in there, but at the end I thought, you know what, we have this entrance area. I always liked in Planet Coaster 1 if people build functional buildings that you can actually enter. It's like in GTA, when you find a functional building, it's quite cool. And if it's just a facade, it's a bit lame. So I tried to do that. Now, there are those shops now, and I had to figure out how they work. Look how stupidly I placed them. Then the path wasn't right, and it was such a pain. But yeah, you are really supposed to place them with distance to the wall, because the employee will stand behind. You see the employees in the wall. So I noticed like, oh, okay, that's how you're supposed to do that. Now, for the theme of the souvenir shop, I went with like a bit of a generic park look, with some of the surfer pieces, like those beach themed pieces, because we will have a water park in the park as well, with some water slides, and you know, you're mostly visiting theme parks in the summer anyways, and it makes it just look a bit more natural. And you know, you're in the summer, why not have a surfer's photo on the wall? And then I was experimenting where to have vending machines, and one tip I can give you when you build your souvenir shop is to have a vending machine behind the counter that is inaccessible to guests. You can close it, but it will just look better. You can see me build that in a moment. Like here, you know, in real life, like, a shop isn't just the counter. In real life, you have like a storage room, which isn't here, but you have like a storage wardrobe, not really. Yeah, just some place, some object where you store all the drinks in, and yeah, you can just put the vending machine there, and it will look way more realistic than just the shop. You know, when building something, I always think like, oh, how does it get there? How can I make it look more realistic? Now, you don't need to have a whole employee path system. I don't have that. Just make it look good from where the guests will actually see it, and from where the viewers of your park will actually see it. Like, I'm personally not a fan of building huge backspace areas with like office buildings and everything. I think it's a bit over the top. Like, why not use that energy you're putting into that to actually theme the park well? But that's just my philosophy. Some people want to have it hyper realistic and they build all kinds of paths. And some people would say I'm more in that space with like the road I'm building, but you know, the road really goes into the category of not really being there for another reason than just looking good. You know, the parking spot as well. I just put the parking spot there so it will look great when you're on a hyper coaster and you can see the parking lot, which is always quite cool in real life. So this building here, before I speak about random shit too much, is inspired by multiple buildings. I won't put it on screen. It's just a classical wooden beam Swiss historic building. And what's important when you're building this style with like a clay wall and wooden supports is to just don't make everything straight if it's an older building. You know, the building methods maybe weren't as great as today, and some beams are just not straight and they're a bit off, and that's fine because that adds character to your building. Really, it's character that makes a building appeal to us humans. If you look at the historic city center, like the buildings aren't just concrete blocks. You know, they're like made of stone and wood, and if you look closely, there are imperfections, and that's fine, and that's actually good that there are imperfections, because only because of them does it really look the part. And try incorporating this in Planet Coaster, because sometimes you see buildings and they just look so sterile, and please don't do that. Don't be that guy. It's like, yeah, now I wanted to say something, but I forgot it. But yeah, just don't make it look that sterile, add some character and your building will look a whole lot better. And we're in a theme park. The whole point of this entrance area is to look friendly. Like, yeah, if you're building a Soviet park, okay, you can have your brutalist buildings, but else really have some buildings that have a charm to them. And then another trick you can use is using those windows colored in any color really as a mechanism to close them. You know, like old buildings have those lids, like window lids, I will call them now, where you can close the window at night. And really, this is an accessory to a building that makes it look a lot more appealing. And you can use those window pieces. I used it on the old building as well. And I just copied the method with this metal piece. You know, just that it makes sense a bit. If you're building a building, think about how it can make sense, you know. Like, oh, where is this connected to? And then just add this. And it will look so much better than if you don't. And people will see it and be like, oh, wow, this is realistic now. So do that. Yeah, then the roof construction. I don't really like just to have a straight roof if it's a bigger building. So I built in this little, you know, like, what is this? I don't know. You know, this little thing. You can do that too in your buildings and it will make your building stand out and look a lot better. Yeah, just don't build too many rectangles really. Then I thought we could make a little ranking of souvenirs, you know, we can sell in the shop. Now, the first souvenir that comes to mind are pens. Like, you know, everybody has like some pens from a company they visited once or just got given on the street. And I gotta say, it's a god-awful present because like the pen, you can write like 2 words with it and the ink is out or it's broken or anything. By the way, you can see how I switched that support to create a vent for the building. You know, my English is terrible sometimes. I forgot how that thing is called, but the thing where the smoke comes out. Yeah, so another souvenir we have are all those key accessories, you know, like brand of the logo of the park you can put onto your keychain. Terrible. I don't like them. Like, if I get that from every company, my whole keychain, it will just be company logos. So yeah, we won't really sell that. Then plushies. Yeah, you can really sell plushies, but at the end, I already have enough of them on my bed, as you can see here. And yeah, I wouldn't really sell a plushie. Then what else do we have? We have t-shirts. Now I'm personally not a t-shirt guy anymore. I like shirts and maybe have a blazer on top, or I like to wear suits as well sometimes, and not really a t-shirt. So for me, t-shirts aren't really it, but some people like collecting them, so I guess this souvenir shop in real life would sell some t-shirts. And I saw some souvenir shops that sell roller coaster models. Now I like that a lot because that's really something cool you can put into your house, and when somebody visits they will see it, and it's like, oh, if you've been to that coaster, yes, I've been. And it's a lot better than just an ugly t-shirt or a key accessory. Like, this is better. Yes, as you can see, speaking of accessories, we're accessorizing this store with a whole lot of details in it. So making a custom counter will make it look a lot more nicer. And you can see the wall details. Now I did something that I usually don't do that often, which is a wall that is different from both sides. Usually I just roll with whatever I used on the outside to create the inside. But here I really thought, a white wall in the inside or some colored walls would be nice, just to create that bit of a modern aesthetic, which I wanted to have here. And you can see how you can use pieces from themes that were meant to be used in here. Like, don't just not use a piece because it's designed for a certain theme. Like, that's stupid. Don't be that guy. That's just building a submarine theme out of purely submarine pieces. You can use any old piece in the game, really. The themes, the basic themes, are more like suggestions. And then adding in the wall, and you can see we also added those little coaster mascots, the one for the water park and the one for the coaster park. And then we add in the lights, and lighting is great in this game. Actually, it actually works now. Like in Planet Coaster 1, you could place a light in one room and it would shine through the other room, which was always super annoying when building spook houses, because you wanted to have light at some place but not at the other, but it would just shine through the wall, so you had to do workarounds and all that stuff. But yeah, on the new spook house, I hope that I can do it. And I spoiled, I will probably build a spook house at some point. I haven't built it yet, but I want to. Maybe a themed spook house, or just a basic spook house, with just a spooky house, I guess. And then some more lighting, and then the whole shop is basically done from the inside. Then we just need to decorate the house a bit more, as it looks plain. And there aren't glass pieces, which is a bit weird. Like, no glass pieces at all. So that was strange. So I just left it out for now. Maybe we'll get glass pieces at some point. And then I used those stones here, I don't even know what they're used for usually. I just use it for like door frames and window frames in old buildings. We create that frame. And I want to have a normal door, like not the arched door completely. That would be a bit of an overkill. And this looks way more subtle, and I like it a lot more. Like have the door like this. And then a little sign for souvenir shops. We have this sign holder now, which is great. Just a little bit of a touch of realism. And then browsing through all the different signage options. And some people are just glitched into the counter, I don't know how. And you can also take those plant pots, which are meant to be, on the ground, as just normal plant pots. You don't have to use them for what they're designed for. Like you can see here. You can use every piece for everything. And then I thought, like, how can I make this building look better? And one way I found out was to use plants, because there are certain old buildings where they're really overgrown with plants, and you can see that here. I don't even know how that's called, this kind of plant, but I like to use that a lot. It has a cool aesthetic with those pink elements to it, and it makes it look a whole lot more friendly. And I put some plant pots there, and Did you see the mechanic there, by the way? He loses screws. How cool is that? Like, he's unmotivated and he just loses screws out of his little suitcase. So cool. And then decorating the house further with some grown over plants and all that stuff. And that's an easy way just to decorate a building. You don't need to, put in that much effort, but it will look great at the end. And yeah, just, go from one arch to the next, and at some point it will look good. Yeah, with that, we have that. So yeah, that would wrap up the souvenir shop actually. In a moment we will have a coaster POV of the roller coaster so far, which we'll have in pretty much every episode now. The next two buildings will also be interesting. And the building after that will also be very interesting, because then we build the housing for that tilt track, which at this point when I was building this building I had no idea of. Then I'm adding some wall decals, some destruction going into that whole adding character to a building theme. And that's it. That's this building. I hope you liked this episode. We'll see us next time. Goodbye.